Tom, there's a bunch of stuff out there. Let's start with this situation going on provincially here where the PQ canvasses its own members with respect to secularism and Bill 21 and actually takes it a step further than the CAC has already taken it and gets reaction from the CAC suggesting, hey, wait a sec, you stole our ball, basically. So what's going on here?
Yeah. Remember we were talking last week about how silly it was for Pablo Rodriguez of the Liberal Party to say that, it's actually brought social peace to have Bill 21, which openly discriminates against religious minorities. He was trying to stake out some turf so that he wouldn't get beaten up too badly and didn't want to come out against Bill 21. And I remember saying at the time, but it's a mug's game. It's a game where they're just going to keep upping the ante. So they're going to start saying, well, let's make sure that we apply Bill 21 to other areas. And this is what the game the PQ is playing. And they're trying exactly to outbid in terms of discrimination and, frankly, in my view, in many cases, outright racism against the CAC. So here's the deal. Here's how you determine who has human rights in the province of Quebec, according to Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. You have a referendum. Well, actually, you have a vote, or you have a popularity contest, or you have a survey, a poll. So he polled his members. He said, so whose rights do we take away? And the answer was, well, let's start taking away the rights of young people who go to elementary school. And he's even using the terminology from France, which has had this ongoing battle. It's a battle, by the way, against Muslims. But, of course, in the wake, they have to come up with something neutral. So it goes against the people of the Sikh religion as well, who can't wear a turban. And, of course, if you're Jewish, you can't wear a kippah, which is exactly where we were under François Legault with Bill 21. But, again, the game keeps getting worse. So now they want to have against any symbol that can be seen at the elementary level. Now, what that really means is that if you're wearing a little cross, a crucifix on your neck, then nobody's ever going to tell you to take that off, even though it's clearly a religious symbol. But if you're a young Muslim girl and your mom says, well, I'd like you to be wearing, as a sign of your religion, I'd like you to wear this headscarf, this hijab, then you're not going to be able to do it. This is where we are in the province of Quebec with the proposal today.
I wonder, though, Tom, to the point about the CAC, first of all, the thing I wonder here, as these become, it seems to me more and more, I don't want to use the word ridiculous, but it's obvious.
It's the right word.
Okay.
It's the right word. It's absurd. It's a game. And see, this is where chickening out, the way Pablo Rodriguez chickened out, the way Mark Carney chickened out. Mark Carney didn't want to have a fight on the substance of Bill 21.
Right.
So he was looking for a way to weave a story around the procedure. Well, guess what? If you don't have the fight on the substance of it, you can't win. Because on the procedure, all you have to do is read the Constitution to know that Pierre Trudeau put in Section 33 of the Charter of Rights, the notwithstanding clause, and you can't wish it away, you can't think it away, you can't pretend that it's not there. What you can do is to reverse the Court of Appeal decision that said that governments are immune to even having an opinion from a court as to whether or not it's discriminatory. That is an easy one. You go after that, and then you're going to have a declaration that it is discriminatory, and then let them continue to fight to keep their discriminatory law once it's been clearly determined to be discriminatory. But this is the fight that we're not having. We're not having the substantive fight. We're having a procedural fight because the federal government chickened out.
But you wonder at some point, even for the public, looking at things like this, saying, do we at some point, when I say we, I mean the people this is designed to appease, who will vote CAC or PQ or maybe now PQ, to simply say, okay, far enough. This is silly now. This is not about teachers anymore. This is about kids. Have we kind of crossed that line? Do you expect that kind of reaction or backlash or not?
I don't expect any backlash in Quebec because the Parti Québécois polled its members, and by the way, its members probably represent a large chunk of the people outside of the region of Montreal. You're not going to get that sort of reaction in Montreal. And Soraya Martinez-Ferrand, she's about to become the mayor of Montreal if things continue the way it's being, and that's a reflection of the multicultural, multi-ethnic, multilingual aspect of Montreal. But if you're out in the boonies, François Legault is nothing if not somebody who really comes from that point of view. This is what he is. The guy who surprises me a little bit because he's got a little bit more class and a little bit more education is Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. But I actually know who his Svengali is behind him calling all this stuff, and they're having an intentional fight with the CAC over who can be the most intolerant, and they're hoping to win.
Sad but true. Huh? Who could be the most intolerant? All right, let me go to the story that, of course, dominated the news cycle yesterday, Canada Post. The announcement by the minister, Joel Lightbound, yesterday, and then, 2 hours later, and maybe not even, Canada Post workers go on strike, which kind of begs the question, doesn't it, Tom? If you were going to make this announcement, should you have not taken into account that the union would look at this and go, hey, wait a sec, we're trying to work a deal here, and this is what you're pulling, so what happened here?
Perfectly well said, Aaron. I mean, it's exactly that. So you're negotiating your working conditions, and then all of a sudden, Lightbound, who, by the way, even though he's a novice, he's not a novice as an MP, he's done it, some time, but he just went to cabinet for the first time. But I find him very capable. But there's nobody minding the store. Carney is doing what he absolutely has to do by traveling around the world, having these important meetings. He's doing what he has to do. He's the Prime Minister of Canada at an unparalleled time. But really, there's not one single person, either the Chief of Staff or the head of the Privy Council office or any of the senior ministers. Nobody gets consulted and says, "Oh, we better find out what the reaction's going to be in the unions, or we better put this at the table. We better discuss it." No, it's, well, we had this report by somebody, so we're going to go with that report, and we're going to remove all the door-to-door mail delivery and probably cut out, I don't know, maybe a third of your jobs, and we're going to change your hours and the working conditions and everything you do, without discussing it, without negotiating about it. I mean, this is amateur hour.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
I'm being told by several people that Carney is fed up with the deadwood that he's got from the Trudeau era. Fair enough. But he better do something awful darn fast. He was planning to wait until Christmas, I'm told, to move a bunch of people out, both out of caucus and have some by-elections and bring in some good people and move some of the ones who are just totally underperforming. Look, Patty Hajdu is the employment minister. She chimed in today saying, well, I want everybody after they went on strike, I want everybody back to the negotiating table. We should be talking about this. Sorry, when did you talk to the workers before coming up with this, harebrained scheme that nobody knew about, that you didn't discuss with anybody? And they're caught like deer in the headlights with something that was eminently predictable, Aaron. So it's really amateurism, and it's frankly incompetence.
But it's weird, Tom, in a sense, because the irony here, of course, is when you heard the numbers that Joel Lightbound was talking about and how much this is costing Canadians, and one of the number that really is glaring is Canada Post is losing $10 million a day.
Oh, yeah.
So you imagine, the public hears this and goes, well, something needs to be done here.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
But something needs to be done respecting the law. The Supreme Court of Canada, in a very long series of recent cases, has said that charter rights, freedom of association, for example, that includes the right to unionize and to negotiate your working conditions, and yes, to withdraw your services. Now, there are ways you do it, for example, with the police and the fire services. You have a step process where you go from mediation and then you go to binding arbitration and you avoid the strike. It doesn't mean that everybody gets to have the right to strike. But at some point, you have to respect a minimum of the rules. And to pop out of nowhere, as Lightbound did with this announcement yesterday, again, the question is, are there any adults in the room in Ottawa right now, or the minute Carney's gone, it's a bunch of kindergarten kids bumping into each other? And it's that level of incompetence. Yeah. It's unbelievable to watch.
Tom, last topic I want to talk about really quickly. Benjamin Netanyahu today in front of the UN General Assembly, although it seems a lot of the UN General Assembly walked out when he walked in. What did you make of what you heard and the take when he took aim against Canada and other countries that have basically come out to recognize Palestine?
Well, recognition of what we call a two-state solution has been part of Canadian foreign policy for closer to 80 years. So that shouldn't have come as a surprise. Netanyahu's been making it his business to stick his nose in Canada's business. He got involved directly against Carney in the last election campaign. Now, I'm not saying I have information that Carney was reacting to that, but a human being's a human being, and when you get attacked personally in the middle of your election campaign by Netanyahu, you're going to remember it. Yeah. Netanyahu, I think, was the target of Carney's letter from last weekend. We can't forget about the fact that it was almost exactly 2 years ago that a horrific terrorist attack by Hamas led to the brutal, indescribable murders of 1,200 people. Dozens of hostages are still being held. And Netanyahu's take is he's going to finish the job. But the rest of the world is saying that can't be the end game, because you can't continue doing what you're doing. The images that we're seeing, what's happening to civilians who have nothing to do with Hamas, this can't continue. And Netanyahu is going to try to hew his own course with the help for the time being of Trump. But we've seen Trump can back down on things very, very quickly, Aaron. So I think that it's a shame that the wisdom that we saw in almost every other Israeli leader before Netanyahu is simply not present in Netanyahu. Yeah. We're getting what we're getting.
By the way, for what it's worth, I saw Donald Trump earlier in the day today saying, and I don't know what this means, if anything, saying they are getting closer to a deal or settlement in Gaza to bring this thing to an end. So
there's no filter on Donald Trump, and he loves telling state secrets. And if he said that, there's actually, unlike everything else that he says, there's actually a very strong chance that it's true.
Let's hope that's the case. Tom, thanks so much. You have a great weekend. Appreciate it.
Care.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.